Breaking news coming out of the Boston Celtics camp on Tuesday afternoon, and it's one that could be catastrophic for the team that is up 2-0 in the NBA Finals. And that is an injury update on Kristaps Porzingis, suffering a torn medial retinaculum, allowing dislocation of the posterior tibialis tendon in his left leg. So different leg from the calf strain. But again, a torn medial retinaculum, allowing dislocation of a posterior tibialis tendon. And he is day to day. And this could be just bombshell bad news for the Celtics. Coming at you with the Cam Show from the home studio, which I have made into a makeshift Celtic studio as well. We said it on the show that Porzingis was the X factor in this series. You saw it in games 1 and 2. Obviously, the big offensive burst in game 1 and 2 tremendous defensive outings. He is the key to the series for the Celtics. And if this were 1-1, if Dallas had won game 2, if this series was a game apiece, I think this thing would be over. I think Porzingis means that much. Now at 2-0, that does change things a little bit, having to win 2 games instead of 3. You can get lucky in a sense in some of these, but in terms of not having your guys out there, Porzingis might be the most vital to what they're doing against Dallas. You know, if you have one of your perimeter defenders out there, Drew Holiday or Derek White, that really stinks, but you have another all-NBA defender there guarding the perimeter. If you don't have Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, one of your superstars out there, that really sucks, but you have another all-NBA guy out there, whichever one isn't hurt. You don't have Al Horford out there. That also stinks. He's been playing some great on-ball defense in this postseason, but you'd have Porzingis. But not having Porzingis, that's a different ball game, man. That brings right back into play the thing that Dallas has been killing teams with all postseason long, and that's the lob. You've taken that out of their repertoire in games 1 and 2, and now you're just inviting them to do it again. Like Al's a good defender, but he is not the interior shot blocking presence that Porzingis brings. You've seen it in these first 2 games. It's been palpable and tangible. And now without him, it's going to be a real tough sledding for the Celtics. And we don't know if he's not going to play yet, but what we do know is that he's going to have to be way limited. Now, I don't know much about this injury, and I am not alone. Many people do not know about this injury, which is the posterior tibialis, whatever you want to call it. Tom Westerholm, covering the NBA, said they're not kidding when they call Porzingis' injury rare. A 2006 study said there were just 32 documented cases of a dislocated posterior tibial tendon in all of English literature. Oh boy. Oh boy. So we don't know about it, and neither do these doctors. That's the part that sucks, man. You can have some of the best doctors in the world out there, but people haven't seen this. We haven't seen this in an athlete like ever. And of course, that's what Porzingis needs to get. I mean, the poor guy, he can't stay healthy. It's not from a lack of trying. It's not from a lack of, taking care of his body. He's a unicorn for a reason, and this is one of the downsides of it. And it just feels really cruel. It feels really cruel. Because if this is the thing that keeps the Celtics in one of the best rosters they've ever had as a franchise, if this is what keeps them from winning the title, I'm going to have to start wondering if they're ever going to win it again. Because that's what it feels like. It feels like this franchise has been through every iteration you could see in the 16 years since winning the title, defending that title and injuries and being mid and trying to hold on to the end of their superstars, whatever they have left in their careers, and then a rebuild, and then a young core, and then you think you have it, but you're missing some pieces, to where we are now of having all the pieces in place to not only win the title, but potentially be an all-time great NBA team, and bang, your X factor gone just like that. It's like, what else what else would need to happen for the Celtics to win the title? Because that's what I'm starting to feel like, man. Maybe Porzingis can go out there and have a Curt Schilling bloody sock Game 6 Yankee Stadium, and the Celtics keep the upper hand in this thing. But nobody bunted on Curt Schilling in that game. And Porzingis would not have that same luxury. They're going to hunt him every time down the floor. And it might work. It might work. Again, he might still play. He might still play Wednesday night in Game 3. But it's this thing that is baffling doctors, this injury that he's got all of a sudden. It's brutal. It's brutal. And we've got some of the Twitter doctors have been out there in full force, basically saying what this means, saying it's the seatbelt to the tendons. And without that, once that's broken, gone, the tendons can go any which way. Curt Schilling had surgery that day that he started Game 6 in 2004. I don't know if Porzingis can have the same luxury because I don't know if there's someone who knows how to perform this surgery. Like, we literally have not seen this. And even if he can get out there and get, shot up with something and to numb the pain, like, you lose your lateral movement. That's all. That's what Porzingis lives on. That's why he's out there, man. He's out there to be the shot blocker, to be the rim protector. And without that, we've got a much more even series here. And the Celtics have been through a lot in the season in the last couple of years. So I respect the adversity that they've gone through. But to then be this close, to be halfway to the title in the finals in complete control, to then have your X factor just cut out from underneath you. That's a lot of adversity again. That's a lot for any team to overcome, man. I mean, we saw one of the great teams of our lifetimes, the Warriors in 2019. They had their stars go out. Those guys had already won 3 titles. You don't think they knew how to handle adversity? Sometimes it doesn't matter when it comes to injuries. You don't have the personnel. When I got the news, I almost cried, guys. Why does this have to keep happening to Celtics fans? Why? I know most of y'all out there hate us, but golly, it just over and over and over, man. It's always something. It is always something keeping us from that title. And this could be another something here. All of a sudden, 4 out of 5 doesn't look all that daunting if you're a Mavs fan. You saw it at the end of that game, too. I mean, the Mavs got back in the game partially because they were getting in the paint. The Celtics were sitting Porzingis at the end of that game. And now it's deja vu all over again. I know there are some optimistic people on the timeline, and Porzingis is optimistic for some reason. And, he seems to be walking around fine, but it's like that's not the end all be all. You can walk around with a torn ACL. You can run with a torn ACL, but you can't cut. You can't do anything that makes you an athlete. So it doesn't necessarily mean that just because you're walking around that you're going to be fine. And I think it's almost prepare for the worst time here. Porzingis, I think, is that important. And you see, you'll have some Horford out there. You have a lot of Horford out there. But when it's Luke Cornett, are you going to have him switching on to a driving Luka or driving Kyrie? That's going to make me drive into oncoming traffic. This is terrible, terrible, terrible news for the Celtics. Terrible news. Even if he's still out there, and he was like in those possessions right after he got hurt last night where there was like 2 possessions where the Mavs hunted him right after he got hurt and Missoula didn't call a timeout and they scored. It could just keep that door wide open. I don't think they're going to keep him under 100 again. I doubt that. Oh boy. Someone get in the comments and tell me how wrong I am and that they're still going to win this series, that Porzingis is going to be okay. Please, somebody, preferably someone with a medical degree. Please, because right now I am fearing the worst for this Celtics team. This Porzingis injury changes absolutely everything.
We are Rogue Media Sports.